Hey, everyone. Welcome to Dark Tales. Today, we're uncovering the curse of Annabelle. Get ready for the real terror behind the legend. Everyone has heard of Annabelle, right? The doll that became famous after haunting cinemas and the nights of many people. But what you might not know is that the true story behind her is even more disturbing. Sit back, grab a coffee, or better yet, put the coffee aside, because the last thing you want right now is to be awake in the middle of the night thinking about the story. It all started in the 1970s. A young nurse named Donna received the doll from her mother. Seems like an innocent gift, right? But soon things started to get strange. Donna and her roommate, Angie, noticed the doll would change position on its own. It wasn't the type of movement you'd think, oh, it must have been the wind, or someone moved it without noticing. No, Annabelle moved from one room to another, without anyone seeing. The peak of the terror happened when the girls started finding notes around the house. Notes written in childish handwriting, saying things like, "I miss you," and "help me." Remember, this was the 1970s, right? No hidden cameras or editing tricks. It was the doll. And just imagining a ragged doll holding a pencil and writing messages sends chills down your spine. Desperate, Donna and Angie called a medium. That's when things really took a turn for the worse. During the session, the medium revealed that the doll was possessed by the spirit of a little girl named Annabelle Higgins. The poor girl had died on the property years before and had attached herself to the doll. In an act of compassion, the girls decided to let the spirit stay with the doll, believing they were helping a lost soul. Big mistake. That's when Angie's boyfriend, Lou, entered the picture. He had always felt a heavy energy coming from the doll, and one day, while dozing off in the living room, he had a terrifying nightmare. He dreamed that Annabelle was on top of him, strangling him. He woke up with claw marks all over his body. Now, this wasn't a nightmare. This was an attack. Lou knew something was very wrong and insisted that Donna get rid of the doll. But before they could do anything, Annabelle attacked again. This time, Lou and Angie heard strange noises coming from Donna's room. When they went in, they found Annabelle on the floor at the foot of the bed. Lou approached and, out of nowhere, felt intense pain in his chest. When he lifted his shirt, there were claw marks, 3 long scratches, fresh and bleeding. Donna, Angie, and Lou finally understood they were dealing with something far beyond the spirit of a child. That's when they reached out to the famous paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens discovered that Annabelle wasn't possessed by a human spirit, but by a demon, using the story of the little girl to deceive the girls and gain their trust. The Warrens took the doll to their home, where they set up a museum of cursed objects. Annabelle was placed in a glass box, blessed by a priest. But even so, her presence continued to cause chaos. Visitors to the museum reported feeling a sense of discomfort as they approached the doll. And there was even an incident with a motorcyclist who mocked Annabelle and died in a motorcycle accident shortly after leaving the museum. So, the next time you hear about Annabelle, remember, she's not just a movie doll. She's a portal to something much darker. If you ever have the misfortune of crossing her path, remember, not everything is what it seems, and some stories are too real to be ignored. Good luck, and be careful where you leave your dolls. After Annabelle was locked in the Warrens' museum, the legend only grew. Even inside a glass box, blessed and sealed, the doll continued to be a source of evil energy. Lorraine Warren always said that Annabelle was one of the most dangerous objects in the museum, and keep in mind, she and Ed had dealt with many bizarre things. Reports of strange events in the museum were frequent. The lights would flicker for no reason. Visitors would feel a cold chill when passing by Annabelle's box, and many claimed that the doll seemed to follow them with its eyes. Ed Warren himself once told the story of a priest who, while visiting the museum, challenged Annabelle, saying she had no power. On his way back, the priest's car was involved in a near-fatal accident. He survived but never again challenged the unknown. Annabelle was more than a doll. She was a catalyst for chaos, a kind of antenna for dark forces. One day, a young woman named Maria visited the museum with her boyfriend, John. Maria was a skeptic, laughing at the ghost stories and mocking the idea of possessed objects. When she stood before Annabelle's box, she did what many before her had done. She challenged the doll. She knocked on the box and loudly said, "You don't scare me. You're just a piece of fabric and plastic." That night, when she returned home, Maria began to feel a presence. At first, it was just subtle sensations. A shadow in the corner of her eye, a slight movement in the air, a feeling that she was being watched. But things escalated quickly. She began to have recurring nightmares with Annabelle. She dreamed that the doll was in her room, on her bed, getting closer and closer, with empty, cold eyes. The dreams were so vivid that Maria would wake up sweating, heart racing. One of these nights, she woke up and saw the figure of a little girl in the corner of the room. She thought she was still dreaming, but when she rubbed her eyes, the figure was still there. And then it disappeared. Maria started hearing childish giggles around the house, the sound of small footsteps running down the hallway, and always, whenever she looked, there was no one there. Desperate, Maria sought help from a paranormal expert. Upon hearing the story, he immediately advised her to go to the Warrens. Lorraine, with her gift of clairvoyance, was able to sense the connection between Maria and Annabelle. Despite being locked away, the doll had managed to establish a link with Maria through the challenge. It was as if Maria had opened a door for evil to enter her life. The Warrens performed a blessing at Maria's house, trying to sever this connection. First, it seemed to work. The phenomena lessened, the nightmares became less frequent, and Maria began to believe that everything was returning to normal. But Annabelle doesn't give up that easily. Weeks later, Maria received a package with no return address. Upon opening it, she found a small fabric doll, very similar to Annabelle. It was impossible to know who had sent it or how they knew her story. The fear returned with full force. She felt that no matter what she did, Annabelle would find a way to come back to her. In a final attempt, Maria decided to move far away, trying to escape the doll's reach. She moved to a small town in the countryside, cut contact with all her acquaintances, and tried to start over. But one night, while she was alone at home, she heard a noise coming from the living room. When she went to investigate, she found the small fabric doll on the sofa, with a note written, "I miss you." Maria knew she would never truly be free. Annabelle, or whatever that evil presence was, had marked her life forever. And just like so many other horror stories, this one has no happy ending. It's a dark reminder that sometimes, playing with the unknown can open doors that should never be opened. So, the next time you hear a story about Annabelle, remember, she's not just an urban legend or a movie marketing trick. She's real, and she's waiting. Months had passed since Maria found the small doll on the sofa. She tried to move on, live a normal life, but the shadow of Annabelle never left her in peace. Nightmares became a routine, and even on the calmest days, there was always a sense of unease, an expectation that something terrible was about to happen. One day, Maria received an unexpected call. It was Lorraine Warren. Lorraine explained that she had sensed a strong negative energy connected to Maria and was concerned. She suggested that Maria visit the museum again to try to sever the connection once and for all. Maria, though reluctant, knew that this might be her only chance to be free of Annabelle forever. When Maria arrived at the museum, she was greeted by Lorraine. Together, they went to the glass box where Annabelle was locked away. Lorraine explained that they would perform an exorcism ritual, something more powerful than the simple blessing before. Maria, with a knot in her stomach, agreed. The ritual began. Lorraine recited ancient prayers while Ed spread holy water around the box. Maria, with her eyes closed, felt the atmosphere around her change. The air became heavy, almost suffocating. Suddenly, the doll inside the box seemed to move. Not a subtle movement like before, but a violent movement, banging against the glass as if trying to escape. The intensity of the ritual increased. Lorraine began to sweat, her voice trembling, but she didn't stop. Maria felt an intense cold rush through her body, as if an evil presence was passing through her. In a moment of panic, she opened her eyes and saw Annabelle staring directly at her. Even though the glass box was a few meters away, And then, everything stopped. The silence was absolute. Lorraine, exhausted, fell to her knees but managed to murmur, "It's done." In the days that followed, Maria began to feel a lightness she hadn't felt in a long time. The nightmares stopped, the strange noises disappeared, and for the first time, she felt she could have a normal life again. Lorraine advised her to always keep her faith and protect her home with regular prayers and blessings, to ensure that Annabelle or any other evil force would not bother her again. Years later, Maria moved to another city, got married, and had children. She never told them about Annabelle, believing that some secrets are better left forgotten. But one rainy night, while cleaning the attic, she found an old box. Inside was the small fabric doll she had received long ago. Terror came back for a moment, but Maria, stronger now, knew what she had to do. She took the doll to a local church and asked the priest to bless and burn it. The priest, without asking questions, agreed. As she watched the doll burn, Maria felt that she was finally free. Annabelle, however, remains locked in the Warrens Museum, still a source of curiosity and fear. Visitors still feel chills when passing by her box, and Lorraine Warren, even after Ed's death, continues to watch over it, knowing that evil is never completely defeated. It only waits for a new opportunity. Thus, Annabelle's story serves as a constant reminder of the danger of tampering with forces beyond our understanding. And for Maria, it is a lesson that evil can be faced and overcome, but should never be underestimated. That was the story of the Annabelle curse. Liked it? Leave a like, subscribe to Dark Tales, and let us know what you think in the comments. See you next